Good afternoon, hockey fans. What's up? How's it going? David's work here for another episode of The Odd Man Rush, coming to you live on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel and brought to you by Intense Nutrition in Coral Springs. As I said, I'm David's work, your host. I cover the Panthers for Local 10 here in South Florida. And so I also cover the team with the most points in the NHL right now, which is pretty cool. They're tied with Colorado. I think they have 67 points. They have a lot of points. It's a good time to be a Panther fan. Joining me on today's show, today's guest is one of the nicest guys I know, and he just happens to know a ton about hockey as well. And that is Panthers television analyst Jeff Chychrun. He'll be popping on the show any second. And we're going to get into wait, there he is. What's up, Chick?
David, how are you?
I'm great, man. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you. Yeah, it's cool because my lucky number, my hockey number was always 39. And so this is my 39th year. So I figure like this has got to be a good year, right?
Happy birthday to you. You brought that up. I think I was stalking Kelly Chase on the web there the one day, and he was bragging. I can't remember what it was all about, but he said, certainly this person wore number 39. So I think I said Hasek, wait, and you piped in, Dwork. And we had him. We owned him. Didn't get a rebuttal.
No, there's no comeback to that. So it's good to have you on the show. The first thing I want to get into, I teased it a little bit more. I definitely want to pick your brain on the Panthers defensive corps. But before we get into that, the recent big news is that Bruno has been seen it more and more that he's been putting Barkov and Huberdeau on the same line. He's been going to it a lot more frequently, I think, than we've seen in recent years since they've been separated. And now the last couple of games, they've been on the same line almost exclusively. Today at the morning skate, they're on the same line, so he's going to do it tonight. What are your thoughts on that? Because personally, I think the team is rolling with them separated. I think their depth is part of their strength. But, I'm curious your take on it.
Yeah, I find it really refreshing to have a coach not afraid to throw lines in a blender a little bit, especially with the depth. And, this team, how many times have they had that next man up mentality that where, someone's been down for a period of time and everybody else has stepped up, and you think there may be a bit of a doomsday scenario, and they've always found ways to come back and overcome. I really like that idea. You talk of the depth and 100% agree with you. It's something that really special for this team. I know watching morning skate, even the other day, I'm looking, and how many NHL teams have 3 bona fide NHLers that they scratch up front on any given night?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a luxury.
They've got 5 lines.
Do they ever? Noel Acciari out there working hard these days too. Really positive things. I guess going back, I don't know, David, a year or two maybe when they separated Barkov and Huberdeau for a while. I guess that was Q. And maybe there was a reason for it, maybe out of necessity. It was probably prior to Sam Bennett being here, prior to Anton Lundell being on the roster. Luostarinen, I guess he could have been here, but very young. And maybe, to spread out that scoring, to sort of bring that experience to a couple of lines. Sam Reinhart certainly wasn't here then.
Verhaeghe, he wasn't here yet.
I was going to say Carter Verhaeghe probably predated him. So there might have been a necessity to sort of extend that offensive prowess that they have. And it worked. I mean, Anthony Duclair certainly having a heck of a season, much more consistent than he was a year ago. To his credit, he's been great and working so hard in all 3 zones, in my opinion.
Yes.
But now they get to play with a little bit. So, Hubie's being on that second line. He obviously had some chemistry with Bennett, with Duclair, I'm just looking at my notes here, whether Hornquist or Tippett, whoever might have been on that other side. They seem to produce all the time. And, Barkov line, again, whether it was Verhaeghe seemed to be a real constant on that left side, but whether it was Duclair or whoever else may have been on that right side, Mason Marchment, the odd time when he's kind of gone up and down the roster. But, Hubie and Barkey, outside of the special teams, have not played a whole lot together this season. You said they're sort of implementing it now a bit. So the fact that he has a chance to put them together now, I think is probably exciting for them. I think there's more than enough depth on the other lines to make up for whatever might be lost by putting them together. It may actually increase. That's to be seen. It's hard to believe anything would increase. Huberdeau, is he leading the league in scoring right now?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's all alone, top of the league, which is crazy
really
to hear on its own.
Yeah. And boy, is he playing on both sides of the puck. He's playing physical, Jonathan. And
yeah.
I don't know. You know what? Maybe it's a case of Bruno wants to reward them and see how it goes, or maybe just put the fear of God into the Blue Jackets tonight. But he's certainly been, you know, they've obviously played the specialty, the power play quite a bit together. So I think it's just something. Look at the coaches sitting there. What do you want to try tonight? Who's in? Who's out? Let's try it. And if it works, then why not run with it? Well, according to my calculations, there's 12 other guys can play forward in this league outside of that top line. So see how it goes.
Yeah,
I
they're
think
pretty
it's
loaded.
a great problem to have.
All right. So you obviously played in the NHL for several years. You were a defenseman, you know the game well. Looking at this team from like a scouting perspective, if you're a defenseman, you're getting ready to play the Panthers. Let's say you're on Columbus, right?
Yeah.
What worries and scares you the most when preparing to play a team like this?
I think that activated blue line with the pace and speed that they come through the neutral zone. Some of my notes from, I guess, Thursday night when I did the game. I was really impressed how against that Vegas club that just the real command of the neutral zone that the Panthers had. And one of my notes was I felt whoever countered the puck best was going to really dominate that game. And so when their forwards are really commanding that neutral zone and forcing the Columbus defense off the blue line, you know, they have to have support from at least one or two forwards. And then when any one of the six really defensemen follows up and is that fourth guy, the attack, it's really tough to defend. So, and to say any one of them, I see where obviously Weegar and Ekblad have their offensive capabilities. Forsling, Gudas can really shoot that P. Depending on who's in on that third line, Montour likes to get up and likes to shoot that puck. And Carlson, Prisky, Lavi, Kirsten, whoever's in the lineup, they all have that little bit of a love for the puck and offensive tendency. So when you have a forward base like they do that can really, like we talked, force the opposition to back up to really sort of collapse in the defensive zone. It really helps those defensemen because they're getting more open looks and they're able to either shoot that puck or look left, look right, and find a seam and see a stick and look for either a deflection or a pass in the offensive zone. So, obviously Aaron Ekblad is probably playing at a Norris Trophy level. Weegar, very similar in my opinion. Gudas, that level of strength, hitting,
physicality,
that force the other team to keep their head up. Gustav Forsling, really, really nice player, really great skills. You see the way he uses all four edges and is able to join the rush and defend the same way on those edges. It's really fun to watch. And whoever Montour is playing with, they can all play that up tempo game. They can all play a physical style if they need to. So I've been nothing but impressed with the group. Really helps, obviously, like we talked, and best defenseman is probably the guy in goal on any given night too, right? And
you're getting arguments from me on that one.
I know, David. I know. We're goalie. I always like to be the goaltender's best friend, or I tried to be.
Yeah, we tend to get drawn to our D-man for sure.
Yeah. We got a good relationship, right?
Yeah. Usually.
Usually, I keep looking at my notes, but I know I think the defense has been a real strength of this hockey club all year. No surprise to me with Ulf Samuelsson running the back end. He's Ulfie's resume is as good as it gets. National Hockey League, internationally, Stanley Cups, Olympics, World Cups, everything. This guy's just a winner. He's a friend. He describes himself as an old school coach, but I think he's got a lot of he knows the modern day game extremely well, obviously, and has a great rapport with Brunette. So everybody seems to be on the same page. And every night, like, they fell behind to San Jose the other day, and you think, well, this might be the day, the day where they fell off a little bit. They're not going to bounce back. Well, sure as heck. I hate to admit it, but I left early in the third period to come home, and man, I missed all the action. But it was a good call.
You can't count this team out.
Never. You really can't.
It's unbelievable.
What a fun way to play the game too. No, the comeback Cats, right?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about like the D being active. Like, one of my favorite things to watch with this team is when the puck goes into their zone. As soon as it gets on someone's stick, whether it's a defenseman, whether it's a forward, everybody's gone. Yeah. Like, it's amazing. Like, a lot of times when they get an odd man rush into and they cross over the other blue line into the zone, it's usually a defenseman up there that's helping create that. That's got to be fun, right? If you're a defenseman, to constantly be able to just jump up and be skating and be getting active in the offense like that, like, it's got to make the game more fun to play, right?
Absolutely. To have the confidence that that your forwards are responsible and have that skill sets to be able to hang on to the puck long enough to either create an outnumbered situation, a 2-on-1, or draw a checker towards them to sort of leave you open to help create that lane that might not generally be there. It's and they cycle the puck so well. The puck possession down low, it really gets the defense on their heels and collapsing, and creates, you can almost play on the perimeter all night because the way they move the puck around, the defense is collapsing, so they have all that room sort of on the perimeter, but yet you have your Hornquists and your Marchmans and Verhaeghes, these guys, Lomberg, Vetrano, that are going in the net, causing havoc while the puck's moving around and taking the goalie's eyes away. Yeah, they're a tough unit, tough piece of business to defend, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right, we're going to dive into a few of the defensemen specifically in just a minute, but first I just want to pause real quick because this show does have an amazing sponsor, and I do have to talk about them because I love to tell you guys about Intense Nutrition in Coral Springs. 2540 North University Drive, like maybe 5 minutes or so from the Ice Den in Coral Springs, very conveniently located right in the middle of Coral Springs and right off University Drive. I always talk about it. This place has got the big box prices, and they've got the personal touch of a small business. Their staff is so well educated. They'll help you out with whatever you need, whether you're looking for vitamins, supplements, specific stats for post-workouts, you fight off cold and flu season. They literally will help you with anything you need. And it's really cool. The personal touch. That's what I like, Jeff, is I like that feeling. I like being able to have a conversation. They also have this amazing program called the Intense Cleanse and Detox, where you can lose 10 to 15 pounds in 10 days, which kind of blows my mind to just think that there's a healthy way to do that. And they will hook you up with that at Intense Nutrition. Like I said, located at 2540 North University Drive in Coral Springs, right on the corner of University Drive and Royal Palm. Or you can give them a call at 954-775-0257. Again, that's Intense Nutrition, 954-775-0257. And again, thank you to them for sponsoring the Odd Man Rush. All right, jumping back into the hockey talk. Obviously, as I mentioned, you played the game for a long time. Your name is on the cup, which is unbelievably awesomely cool. You don't really get to shake a lot of guys' hands that can say that. But you've also been studying the game. You work analyzing the game. So talking about some of these defensemen, you mentioned Aaron Ekblad, he makes it look incredibly easy what he does out there. He's just as good in his own zone as he is in the offensive zone. His partner, Mackenzie Weegar, again, amazing player. For a guy that was taken almost with the last pick in the draft to now be a consistent top line pairing guy. I do notice though that he's a little bit more prone to turnovers than obviously than his defensive partner. He's a little loosey goosey sometimes, and he's a great player, no doubt. But I mean, is this? I'm not crazy, right? You've seen this.
Yeah, I think part of that is playing that offside at times, and the matchups they get. A lot of times it's either the first or second line generally from the other team. So playing that left side, there's a lot of really high end right wingers and centermen that he's playing against. So obviously, when you do have your stick sort of turning the other way, at times maybe it can affect your vision a little bit if you're, obviously playing the puck up the wall as a right shot on the left side. Sometimes it can leave you a little bit blind partially, but I think you have to take the good with the bad in the defensive position. When there's such pace and you don't always have support. We talk about how good the Panthers are through the neutral zone and back checking through the middle of the ice. But there are times when there are one-on-ones or just speed kills in this game. So there are times when that pace is just coming so fast and it's almost impossible to defend, especially if it's a fast break and you've got three forwards that are caught sort of deep, because this team does attack a lot. So when they're attacking, there are times when, there's three guys certainly caught around the net. And if there's a quick chip off the wall or something, you can be caught. But, I think certainly if Weeks, if there is a play where it either coughs it up or, I guess there are times in the neutral zone, we can get a little bit complacent with the puck. Maybe instead of snapping that puck, you can throw a bit of a soft one maybe, or put a little air under it and it doesn't quite get there, those type of things. But for the most part, I think, gosh, it's defending this league. I mean, my son played with Nick Jalmerson there for a long time. And like Weeks, he played the right side, but he was a left shot. And he's kind of legendary for his defensive work. But there were plays where he just couldn't either get back quick enough or you get caught in that, it could be a 3-on-2 or that 1-on-1 situation where player's either bigger or he's just slick. Some of these guys can pull rabbits out of a hat when they're 1-on-1. So, if you watch enough. And the other thing, David, I think Weeks and Eki, they play at least 22 minutes a night, right? So that's an awful lot of hockey. You're probably looking at 27, 28 shifts a night. So you get beat once or twice, you cough it up once or twice. Sometimes you just have to take the good with the bad and look at the other 25 shifts where not much is happening against.
Fair enough. No, and I mean I think that's also kind of a testament on how good he's been, is that we're nitpicking these little things just because he's been playing so well. But point taken.
Quick Mackenzie Weegar story. So he's from my hometown of Nepean, Ontario. His defense partner was Morgan Richardson. Luke, assistant coach in Montreal, his daughter played with the boys right through Bantam hockey. And Weegs we had dinner with Luke and Stephanie in August. And Steph was saying that Weegs was Morgan's defense partner. Now, Morgan went on to play college hockey at Boston University. So I'm sorry, at Cornell. So she's a heck of a hockey player. But the other one, even better story, Weegs' midget coach, my best friend Mike Dagenet, with the Ottawa Junior Sens. I think it was a Tier 2 Junior A team actually. The manager wanted to cut him, and Dagger says, "I'm not cutting my best defenseman." Doesn't work that way. But I think the way minor hockey sometimes there's those internal pressures from could be parents,
gets a little political.
Needless to say, Mackenzie Weegar made that hockey team and went from there to go play in the Quebec League. So the rest is history.
Yeah, it's
story though.
No, it's pretty amazing. He's been one of those guys that, everybody has to walk a path, obviously, to get to the highest level, but some guys walk a little bit of a longer one than others, and Weeds was definitely one of those guys. I mean, you think about like a guy like Mason Marchment too, or Ryan Lomberg, guys that didn't take the traditional routes, maybe had to play in some lower end leagues, but hard work pays off, and what they say, the cream rises to the top, eh?
Right. If you look at those guys that spend extended periods of time in the American Hockey League, they're so ready when they come up. I think the old saying is, nobody ever makes a mistake sending a player to the American Hockey League, because they like to say they overcook them, but they're so prepared to play when they finally get up here that they're seasoned professionals. It's just a little bit quicker when you get up. That's all.
Yeah, well, especially nowadays with the way that the teams are like synergy between the coaching staffs and they're teaching similar structures, and it makes it a lot easier to make that transition as well.
You're right. Very good point. Yeah, between the American Hockey League and the National Hockey League, they generally play a very similar style play or system.
So I wanted to talk to you about Radko Gudas because he has gone from being a player who I was not a fan of, and just because he was known for the non-hockey stuff, the physical stuff. Now he's so in control all the time that I feel like it's letting his play speak for him and represent instead of the fisticuffs type stuff. And I just feel like he's been so incredibly steady. And for a guy that throws the body around as much as he does, his positioning is always really on point, which really impresses me, whether it's, cleaning up around the crease, whether it's on the boards, like he always seems to be in the right place. I just feel like he's become this incredibly stable, steady D-man.
I think he's been really steady. Absolutely. Again, I think his skating is probably underrated. I actually played against his father at one point. His dad played on the old Czech national team, and we went over to play against them in just before the World Championships in Prague in 1990, and really similar.
Does Dad also have a beard?
Yeah, I think he did. He was a little bit off. he make those big open ice hits. It was enough to sort of rile your cage a little bit and get the other team a little upset. But I think Radko plays. You know what he plays with? Mike Keenan used to have a term he called controlled aggression, and I think he's really learned to use that to his advantage. Whereas maybe the younger Radko would make that marginal open ice hit that could be considered dirty or whatever, and
young Radko is a little less marginal, I think.
Yeah,
there were some bad ones.
Right. But makes really good decisions with the puck. That good first pass, gets his feet up to the blue line so that if there is a turnover, a transition, he's in a really good position to defend. And he follows the play up. He's not afraid to jump in. He's got a big bomb as far as I'm concerned. His shot's heavy, and he's not afraid to use it. And I think obviously keeping the other team honest a little bit during the game, brings a little bit of that personality to the team as far as the physical edge. And I think it's really important, and it's a really good fit where he's slotted in there on that defensive unit.
Yeah, when they signed him 2 off seasons ago, I was thrilled because that just it really filled a need on this team, not just for a steady defenseman, but for somebody that's not afraid to mix it up. I mean, you heard Panther fans would talk a lot about like Erica Branson should never have left, and they really lost a lot of that physical. Don't go near my goal, don't go near the crease element. And then when you bring in a Patrick Hornquist, you bring in a Radko Gudas and Lombard, another one. They've really taken care of that, not having that edge. And, as you said earlier, there's certain guys where when they're on the ice, you got to keep it in the back of your head that they're out here
all the time. Yeah, good point. Goody did a really good job for this team those years he was here, as far as being that that iron force sort of on the back end, and all those guys.
He was like the enforcer.
He was. You do miss that when it's gone. Certainly, obviously, listen, fighting and that type of thing isn't as big as it used to be. But when you get in these playoffs, that was nasty series against Tampa last year. So those things really come in handy. And like we talked about earlier, if you can do that and yet have the discipline and not marching off for those 2-minute penalties by yourself, then that's a big advantage. And I think Gudas really gives him a shot in the arm on a nightly basis.
Yeah, I mean, the team supports each other so well. And when you've got, Barkov and Huberdeau aren't as young now as they were a few years ago, obviously. But when you've got these young rising players that are trying to establish themselves, it helps that you have the physical guys they always know somebody's going to have their back. And I don't know if you saw this the other day when Edmonton played Montreal. Zach Kassian kind of took a little run at Sam Montembeault, former Panthers goalie, knocked him down behind the net, knocked his helmet off. And you know what happened? Nothing.
Yeah.
No Montreal player even put a glove on him.
Right.
He got 2 minutes. He went to the box, but nobody on the team, nothing.
Yeah, Shea Weber's not there, right? I'm sure Brendan Gallagher was on the ice. He would have certainly done something. It's a different game, David.
It's knocked over. It shouldn't matter who's on the ice, though, right?
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Those guys that are sort of heavyweights, where it used to be, there was 3 or 4 people, and that could really take care of that business. So whether I mean, at that point, yeah, David, when Kazian runs Sam, even if
Yeah,
you just sort of come in and jump on his back and or grab his pants and
you
haul him
do
down,
something,
some kind
face
of a
wash. I mean,
show, right, right, yeah, that was that
well,
was
you
that
got
was
into a
really
few
surprising,
scraps when you were in the league.
right?
I remember when I
Yeah,
was googling your pictures, there were pictures of you fighting in Getty Images. So you weren't
yeah,
afraid to
yeah,
mix it up.
yeah. There was no doubt about it. I led the Flyers in minutes probably 3 years running, so there was definitely lots of that stuff. But
I
we had
laugh
a lot of
because you're
backup
like the
on this stuff too.
nicest guy. And just to
Yeah.
think that you were like, a fighter and getting penalized, it just, I love it.
There was that transition from the off ice personality, the on ice personality, which I quite enjoyed actually.
Oh, we would have gotten along so well if you were my defenseman then. If you played with an edge and then you're a sweetheart off the ice, oh, we would have been
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Oh
it's a
my
nice way to
goodness.
be. Yep.
So when you talked about Gus Forsling earlier, you
Yeah.
mentioned something I'm so glad you did. You mentioned his edge work because I feel like his skating, it blows me away. He's so good on his feet, whether it's moving the puck up the ice, whether it's repositioning himself in the D zone. I just love watching it. He like the word that always comes to mind when I'm watching him is smooth. He's just very
Right. Yeah.
smooth in his motions.
Yeah. Efficient, right? Yeah. With that,
Yes.
you just you're never out of the play, and what you can do at that point is, when you can skate like that, you can sort of afford, and with the support they have, with his skills, you can almost afford to hold that blue line an extra couple seconds in the offensive side of the puck to sort of keep that, because even if forward gets by, gets a step on you, you're still quick enough to get back and
Right.
defend, or like we talk about transition all the time, when you can skate like that, and um, tough thing to really defend for a forechecker is a defenseman that can backpedal with the puck as if he's skating forward. Sort of fake one way and drag the puck across the other, open up a seam to your left wing and your centerman, and the forward doesn't know where to work. He doesn't know how to take the middle of the ice away or a passing lane, because you're going on all the edges. You can go just about anywhere, and that's something he does really well. So that allows him to move the puck well, and keep himself out of trouble. And even if, physically, if someone's a little stronger, you can always have body position on him, and it allows him to on the offensive side of the puck to really either walk the line or find that seam or that lane, and carry himself sort of effortlessly to help create on that offensive side of the puck. But yeah, his skating is it's as good as there is, and it's amazing that he was a waiver pickup, if I'm not mistaken, David, a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. They picked him off
Uh,
waivers last training camp.
yeah, I think
Unbelievable.
Chicago would like to have him still. But yeah, really, really great pickup by the club, and
Yeah, I think Chicago gave up on him, and then Carolina also gave up on him. I'm pretty sure that it was
I think
Carolina they
you're
got
right.
him from.
I
So
think you're
there's
right.
two teams that are kind of kicking themselves.
Got to be right.
Yep.
And it's not like every team's trying to load up on defensemen, right? Because you can never have too
Oh yeah.
many at seams. So let that
We've
get
seen
away.
Zito
Really
since he got here.
Yeah. Or you know what? The other hand, maybe he got here and his confidence really grew too. So maybe it's just a great situation for him.
Yeah.
Regardless, his skill sets have really shown brightly, and he's made great contributions to this team, and it's really nice to see. And I like to say with defensemen, especially, a lot of them, I like to say it's all in the feet, because when the feet are moving, the head generally follows, the skill sets follow. And one of my favorite sayings. Yeah. It's
All
all in the
right. So
feet.
before we go, and I thank you again so much for taking a little time. There one other thing I wanted to ask you about, and you mentioned it before. Your good buddies Ulf Samuelsson, who is one of the Panthers coaches, handles the defenseman. You know him well. You played together in Philly, right?
Pittsburgh.
In
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Yeah. Before then.
Um, wow. That's so cool, man. But now you get to see him a lot down here, obviously. We just, even as the media, like we're only given so much exposure to the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Um, so since you have maybe a little bit more knowledge, like what does he bring to the table as an assistant coach to this team?
An incredible amount of experience. Obviously, winning 2 cups, playing deep in the playoffs many times,
Right.
representing his country at world championships and Olympics. And, I saw the way as a player in the Penguin locker room, real dynamic personality. And I mentioned that to Q when he first got here, how excited I was that he was here. And because I just think that he's got a bit of an infectious personality and he's a really good communicator. There's not a lot of coaches in this league from Sweden at this point, and I'm not really sure why, because their skills and the things they do differently. It's kind of refreshing sometimes. But Alfie was he wasn't what you would consider a typical Swedish defenseman. Probably he was very physical, and he really focused on that first pass and getting up in the play and taking away the gaps. A lot of things you see the Panthers do here, that first pass, get up in the play and really shut down that neutral zone, which we like to talk about. But he's just got so much experience. There's almost no situation that any of these players are going to be in that Ulf hasn't been involved in. So I just think that confidence and that leadership, that almost muscle memory when he's behind the bench, I think it's just infectious. And I'm sure the guys must love playing for him. You see how well they're playing. So, I mean, I think it's a really good fit.
No, that's great. I appreciate the insight. And again, I want to thank you for taking some time on the show today, Jeff. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the knowledge. But that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Odd Man Rush, brought to you by Intense Nutrition. Jeff, I really appreciate your time, my friend. Thanks, I appreciate David. Manny Chang, our amazing producer as well, for doing such a good job. As you see on the screen there, all the information for Intense Nutrition. But again, thank you everybody for watching, commenting, listening, all that good stuff. I always, I hate when I go over, but again, just thank you to everybody. From my guest, Jeff Chychrun, I'm David Dwork. We'll see you next week right here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel for another episode of the Odd Man Rush. Take care of yourselves, everyone.